Coming up later, Matt Iseman shows us how to make sure we have the ultimate game day experience when watching the big game at home. All right, class is in session.
Yes, Professor.
Yes. Okay, so here's what we're going to do, and this is the last thing in our my three-part little report on how to take better pictures. We taught you about aperture and shutter speed. We'll review real quickly, but we're going to move on to an area called ISO. And I promise you, this won't be a snore fest. It's a little technical, but hang in there with me and you'll get it. It's really simple because I have visuals. And everybody likes visuals, right? So let's review just real quick, though, as we get started. We talked about depth of field with our aperture and the AV mode that we were in. And this is some of the pictures that we talked about. This is one I took in Sierra Leone when I was over there doing a medical mission. Here's another one of my kids when we did our little laser tag and all that. So we talked about getting a whole group and having a good depth of field. And then we talked about shutter speed and how we can use shutter speed. Let me back up. To stop the wings of a hummingbird, right? That's at 1/1200th of a second. So I was able to grab that. And then this is where we can have a real slow shutter speed so we can get this sort of dreamy effect while shooting.
It's his backyard.
This is, yeah, that's my backyard.
Wow.
No, it's not.
Okay.
So we have those two, right? And like rate time times equal distance, that magical 3. The last in this is called the ISO.
What is an ISO?
ISO is the International Standards Organization.
Yeah, what is that? Like the CIA. What does it mean? Why do we need that?
What that organization does is it regulates and mandates the sensitivity of your camera, the sensitivity to light. So every camera has a sensor in it. Remember back in the day when you would go buy film? Film had
I don't remember.
Yeah, we used to.
Oh, wait, let's wait. Sorry. But film had it used to be, it was called ASA. Yeah, it's like if you're outside, you want to use this, if you do this. And as that number increased up to an 800 or whatnot, the film got grainy. The pictures would come back and be a little grainy. The same thing now in the digital world is not ASA, it's called ISO. And you can set your camera and say it's more sensitive to light. For example, let me put it into people terms. You're in the dark, and you walk out of a movie theater after it and you open the door and it's bright sunlight, you do one of those numbers, your eye was really sensitive. It was dark, so the pupils really opened up, and your brain is like the sensor that's in this, begins to adjust so you can get used to the sensitivity of that bright light outside, right, from transition. So that's all I'm going to show you how to do today is teach your camera to know the light in the room and set to it, right? With me? Am I losing you?
You have to know what it is to tell the camera, though,
well,
right?
you're looking at what happens if you get into a low light situation. You can begin to increase the light in the room by making your camera more sensitive, even to low light. When it gets candlelight, you can begin to make that even more sensitive to that light.
So that would then be a high ISO?
Exactly.
So the lower the light, the higher the ISO?
Yes. Okay. I'll show you. Now, on a high-end camera like I have here, I will show you. Let me fire this up real quick. These cameras, and the reason why they're so expensive is because they can go to extreme high ends. For example, for surveillance purposes, you could be out in just street light, and I can make an adjustment on this and go up pretty high on it. Let's see if we
like night vision.
So you'll see, yeah. So I'm going to make this. I'm doing it backwards here, but you see the numbers changing. I can go up pretty high with this. It just keeps going and going, right?
Well, what does your average camera do?
Well, this is a simple point and shoot. Now, the average camera, by the way, point and shoot will give you, most of them will give you access to change these settings when they're in manual. An iPhone won't do that. A lot of the more affordable cameras, I guess, won't do that. But if I wake this up, and I think we got it. Do we have a shot of this, Mikey? That now you can see I'm kind of blocking it. Now you can see my hand in front of it. I'm going to do this actually live. So our ISO, I'm going to go into the settings here, and you can see across the bottom of the camera it's set at 100. But watch as I begin to move this up.
That's what those numbers are.
Now my camera is becoming more and more sensitive to that light, and you see how it's starting to open up, and now I'm seeing more information. I can keep going up, up. Right?
Now that's too high, isn't it?
It is too high because there's a, I would back it off, but if I was in a real low light situation, but what it does is it allows me to now manipulate the other numbers, either shutter speed or aperture, to begin to have more latitude in them.
I understand all this stuff. I tend to just let the camera do it for me. So when would you want to start manipulating ISO? What effects can you get?
Right, when you become more smart.
Oh, good. After the segment, maybe after the segment.
You want to do it because this will give you more creativity. My whole goal in the teaching people at home to pick up their camera is to know their camera, so their camera doesn't make the decisions for them. They get to unleash their creativity and begin to pick up an instrument and just instead of strumming it, knowing that if I hold this and this chord down and I strum it, I can be able to make music.
So now you're a poet. This is beautiful. Yes, I understand.
So sometimes do you put your ISO even higher, and blow some stuff out just because that's
you can
kind of artistic?
Yeah, your
yes,
flavor of it?
you can. I will tend to. Here's the trade-off. I'm going to show you this real quick. So I was at home and I was like, I'm going to do something. I'll show you the difference in the two cameras, and this is what will bring this. So I just grabbed something around the house that I had. You can't really see it. This is a low light situation set at a 100 ISO, which means it's not very sensitive to the light. But watch as I start going up here, you begin to see.
Wow, is that your Emmy? Is that your Emmy, Mark? Is that one of yours 4 that you?
Oh, the Emmy. Yeah.
Oh, right.
I didn't even see that there. That was. I thought it was around the.
See what you did.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Sorry,
Okay.
now I'm so embarrassed. But
Yeah.
here's what I want to show you. So this is at 25, but you can see the difference between how
And that's
nothing
the same
else
shutter speed.
nothing else changed on the camera other than me telling the camera, hey, there's not enough light in here. Can you be a little bit more sensitive to that light? Right? Now, that's with this higher end camera. I'm going to show you now if we go, this is the little point and shoot. Now, it's sort of the same way. You see it increasing, but I'm going to show you here as I get to the end. The image isn't quite as bright. It doesn't have the kick and punch to it, but I'm going to show you real quick. I'm going to do a little number here, and I'm going to compare these two side by side, and I'm going to zoom in on something here that I think will help demonstrate why you want to look at the camera costs. If I zoom in, you see this up here?
Wow.
If I
Could you
zoom
move
in,
for
you'll
a second
begin to
so we-
see what's called digital noise.
Okay.
In the image.
The graininess.
The graininess that is there. That's the trade-off that exists. When you start boosting your ISO, your image will become more grainy. That may be appealing.
Yeah, it looks artistic. I like that.
There is software that will take that out if you need to. But anyway, get comfortable with your camera, get comfortable with those settings, and play with them, and you'll begin to see by using the aperture, shutter speed, and ISO, you can be the master of your
class.
And your Emmy looked beautiful, by the way.
It is.
She put it-
That's it, real quick. Should we go back?
There you go.
We just have to go back.
I love how you featured the Emmy on the right.
Yeah.
All right. Up next, we're heading into the kitchen, and we're going to have a little soup with Alina Furman. It's all coming up next. I had to do that.